So the Premier League season is almost concluded, and that means here over at Transfermarkt we are already taking a look at who should be the player of the season in English top flight. You can now head over to transfermarkt.com, .co.uk, .us, whichever domain is your preference, and you should be able to find top of the page article where you can vote for not only the player of the season each of the top leagues, but you can also vote for the goalkeeper, defender, midfielder and forward. And today we are kicking things off by looking at the goalkeeper nominees in the English Premier League Player of the Season tool. So yeah, guys, let's take a quick look through all 6 of the nominees for the goalkeepers. I'll put them up on the screen just now, but I think this today in this video we kind of want to go through each one, kind of explaining why these guys have all been nominated, and we can also, as we go through, kind of hint or suggest or just flat out say who we think should be the top goalkeeper for this year. Ewan, I'll kick things off with you because you wrote the article on the website going through the nominees. Vicario, Tottenham, probably one of the strongest contenders, I would say, between the posts this season. Tottenham have obviously had up and down season, but Vicario's probably one of their better players. What have you made of him this season? And I guess just a kind of brief synopsis of why people may want to vote for him as player of the season between the goalposts.
Yeah, I thought it was a revelation when he first came from Empoli. Had a really strong start to his Tottenham career, much like Tottenham did under Ange Postecoglou. And he looked like an inspired signing, good value, good age. He obviously forced his way into Italy contention as well. However, I think he has kind of tailed off in recent months. I'd caveat that by saying Spurs play an incredibly open style of football, so he does face quite a lot of chances on his goal, and Tottenham's form has been really ropey in the second half of the season as well. But I think Vicario 100% deserves his nomination. He's had a really good, solid season. He'll be number one, for the coming years at Tottenham.
Yeah, Ben, Vicario probably surprised quite a lot of people how quickly he adapted to Tottenham, hasn't he, this season?
Yeah, I kind of echo what Ewan said a few months ago. I think he would probably be my main contender to win this award. I think he's probably adapted to the Premier League very well. As Ewan touched on as well, Tottenham faced a lot of shots and he was getting them out of a lot of games with some top saves. I think probably his one weakness this season has been sort of dealing with crosses and set pieces. That was highlighted in the North London derby, where 2 goals went in from set pieces. I think that's been a bit of a weakness, and yeah, last couple of months probably, deserved nominee, but I wouldn't win the award for me.
Yeah, well, I'm sure Tottenham fans can let us know if they agree or disagree in the comments section below. They usually do. Next contender is, of course, Ederson at Manchester City. Current, stalwart goalkeeper for the champions, the defending champions. Arguably the team obviously still in pole position to win the title. And Ederson has, for a number of years now, been one of the key players in that team. Ben, what have you made of his performances this season, and what do you think of him being nominated for Player of the Year by Transfermarkt?
Yeah, I think he fully deserves his nomination. He's one of the top goalkeepers in the world. We're so used to him just performing so highly that we don't really notice it. He obviously has missed quite a few games this season through injury. Also made a key mistake giving away the penalty in that game against Liverpool. I think a deserved nominee, but because of the games he's missed where Ortega has come in, it probably wouldn't be number one for the award again for me.
Yeah. Ewan, how do you think he's stacked up against other guys in this nomination bracket?
Yeah, it's completely what Ben said. It's because he's so good for so long, you kind of take him for granted how good he's going to be, and sometimes you don't really shine a spotlight on what a good goalkeeper that Ederson can be. But he's one of the best goalkeepers in the world. He has been since he joined Manchester City. They have a really good number 2 as well. So when he's not playing, maybe you don't even notice he's not playing, because I think Ortega's arguably the best number 2 in the league. So yeah, he's a fantastic player. Ederson, great if he's seen as well, which obviously is so important to how Pep Guardiola wants to build from the back.
Yeah. The other major title contender this season, of course, have been Arsenal, who still sit top of the league as we record this video. And one of the main men there has obviously been David Raya. Not only has he displaced the former number 1 in that team, but he's also proved to be a really crucial player for Arsenal. Some people were quite surprised when the club spent the amount of money that they did to sign him, at least on loan at first, when it seemed as though they had a perfect good goalkeeper, but can make some pretty strong arguments that he's been crucial to Arteta's team and his tactics and the way that they've gone about challenging for a league title this season.
Yeah, I think Raya's protected by the best defence in England in Arsenal. Obviously, Saliba, Gabriel, and Edson this season. Ben White at right back as well has had a fantastic campaign. But Arsenal only conceded 20 goals. That's 5 less than Manchester City. And David Raya will win the Golden Glove with 16 clean sheets, might get 17th on the final day of the season. It's almost like he's not had too much to do, but what he's done well. I think Arsenal defence has been that dominant this season that he's not had to pull off, hosts of saves. But his clean sheet record is excellent. When he's been called upon, he's been pretty good. There's been a few mistakes in there, but he's a massive upgrade on Ira Ramsdale for me.
Yeah, Ben, what do you think of Raya this season? How do you think he's performed in Arteta's team?
Yeah, I think after a tricky start, he's been a revelation really, and I think he's really helped take Arsenal to the next level. A lot of pressure on him, obviously, because Ramsdale was a fan favourite. A lot of people in the media and fans were surprised that Arsenal made that change, that upgrade. So that added more pressure, and he made some mistakes early on. The game against Luton had a bit of a shocker there, but he's been brilliant. And like Ewan says, he doesn't face many shots, but his ability to deal with crosses, he catches almost everything. And obviously playing out from the back is really important to Arsenal. He comes out and essentially plays as a second centre-back on the ball, brings someone towards them and allows more space when teams try and sit back in a low block against Arsenal. So it's been really important. He's obviously got the Golden Glove. To be honest, I think he'd probably get my vote at this stage.
Yeah, very interesting. He's been a fantastic player this season. Another goalkeeper who's also done really well in a team who have also perhaps overperformed, more so than maybe any other team. People can let us know in the comments below is, of course, Martinez at Aston Villa. Ben, we probably spend a lot of time talking about Aston Villa's attacking players. Some of them have obviously been nominated as well this season, but it's quite easy to forget that Martinez is a player who came to that club and he's really made that position his own and is probably one of the key players that's allowed Unai Emery's team to kind of punch upwards and maybe, I don't want to say overperform because they're a great club, obviously a big club, but get them to the position that they are now in.
Yeah. I think he's a very deserved nominee. And also a real leader in that Aston Villa dressing room. I know he's captained the club on a few occasions, but his aura, he's got a real big personality. I think that's important for Villa. They haven't had the best defensive record, conceded more goals than Everton, who do have the best defensive record outside the top three. But you also got to remember that Villa have had a lot of injuries at centre-back as well. Mings has obviously been out for the season. Other centre-backs have been chopped and changed in there. And he's still had a very good season, Martinez, for one of the surprise teams of the season. So I think a deserved nominee.
Yeah, and he's also quite a character on the pitch. You can tell that he is clearly one of the leaders in that dressing room, isn't he?
Yeah, he also taught most people the football new rule in the Europa League when he got that booking and wasn't sent off. I don't think anyone knew about that, so thanks for that. I mean, he's a huge character. He's probably quite divisive, isn't he, after his kind of World Cup antics, but I like him. He's probably one of the best penalty savers in the world as well. He's a really big player for Villa, like Ben said. Villa's defensive record's not been great. I still think it's a very good season. He'll be a big part of why they will get Champions League football. I think Villa will secure that before the end of the season. And who'd have thought that? Before Emery came in, when they had the troubles under Steven Gerrard, that Villa will be playing Champions League football so soon.
Yeah, it's a remarkable rise for the Birmingham club. Another club who maybe kind of flown under the radar, especially the last kind of couple of weeks since their kind of league campaign has maybe began to kind of stumble and kind of come to an end prematurely, is of course Liverpool. And in their defence, they've obviously got Alisson. Much like Ederson has been a kind of long-standing key player for his club, but Ewan, despite the fact that Liverpool obviously, I mean, I guess they technically still can. I can't remember if they still technically can, but they're not really in the title race anymore, I think it's fair to say. Alisson obviously still been a big player for them this season, hasn't he?
Yeah, he's only played 26 games in the league, so of all the kind of 6 contenders, Alisson's played the least football in the Premier League, and I think his replacement Kelleher came in and done quite well. Talked earlier about Ortega being the best number 2 in the league. It's probably between him and Kelleher for that award. Like Ederson, it's the same for Alisson. Fantastic goalkeeper, great at his feet. He's been one of the best goalkeepers in the world since he joined Liverpool. Him and Van Dijk joining was such a big part of their success and getting Jurgen Klopp that one Premier League title and the Champions League. So yeah, I think Alisson, like Ederson's one of the best goalies in the world. It's quite a good battle for Brazil they have as well. Yeah,
so he's almost been like a kind of generational talent in terms of when you focus in on the goalkeepers, especially in the Premier League over the last kind of 5-6 years. Ben, rather, how do you think he's performed this season? As Ewan said, maybe overshadowed slightly by his number 2, but probably still deserving of being on this nomination list.
Yeah, I think on pure ability, there's no doubt he's one of the best keepers in the world. For me, the best one-on-one shot stopper in the world over probably the last 5 years. Obviously, he's missed a lot of games. I don't think he'll win the award because 26 Premier League games is quite a large chunk that he hasn't been available. And yeah, as Stuart mentioned, Keller has done well. But yeah, a quality keeper. Who would have thought like 10 years ago that two of Brazil's best players would be goalkeepers? What's that about? But yeah. Yeah, deserves to be a nominee, but yeah, because of the games he's missed, probably won't win the award.
Yeah, absolutely. So the last remaining name on the nomination list, of course, Jordan Pickford at Everton. I must admit, I'm kind of warming towards him as my actual pick for this. Obviously, some people may raise an eyebrow the thought of an Everton player being in, up alongside, goalkeepers and players playing for title contenders. But I think when you actually look at Everton's defensive stats, obviously Dykes has built his entire team around that fortitude between, goalkeeper, defence, midfield. And I think although Pickford can be kind of seen as a bit of a character in the Premier League, maybe someone that kind of rival fans love to kind of rile up, he undoubtedly has been a huge player for that Everton team and helped them avoid kind of getting dragged into the relegation race. So he'd be my probably nomination for goalkeeper of the season in the Premier League. But Ben, what have you made of him this season?
Yeah, I think like you said, Everton, to have the fourth strongest defence in the league. I know everyone's conceded a lot of goals this season. The Premier League's obviously going to break the record for that. But outside the top three, to have the best defensive record in the league, you can't really look much further than their keeper being nominated amongst these goalkeepers. Yeah, I think he's made some great saves again. Been a solid season. He'll be England's number one at the Euros this summer, and a deserved nominee.
Yeah, and you're just going to wrap up the episode. What do you think of Pickford, and how do you think people will vote for him in comparison to these other names on the list?
It's between Pickford and Raya for the award for me. I think there's always such a spotlight on Jordan Pickford because he is England's number one. Every season or every time there's a tournament, you always hear a conversation about, who's going to be England's number one. It's always going to be Jordan Pickford. He's been really good for England consistently. He's been really good for Everton this season. I like him as a personality. I like that in a goalkeeper. I like that in a player. I think sometimes when he's at it a little bit sometimes with his, he saves and dramatises them, but I don't mind that from a goalkeeper. I think that's what you want. And he's been quite loyal to Everton as well. I think over the years he probably could have moved a couple of times, but he's stayed there, and he's a big part of what they do under Sean Dyche. And like Ben yourself mentioned, the fourth best defensive record in the league. It kind of speaks for itself.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, you guys can obviously let us know what you think in the comments below, but you can also head over to Transfermarkt and place your own votes. We'll stick a link in the description of this video so you can head straight there. And along the way, you can obviously pick your defender, midfielder, forward. And then once you've gone through those nominations, you can then pick which player you would put forward for player of the season. So go ahead and do that. Make sure you watch the rest of our videos this week as we go through all the nominees for this season's award. And until next time, we'll speak to you soon.